Alright guys, what's up? It's assignment 14, and I'm going to be going over the game's passage and the plan. First of all, passage, it kind of plays itself, but at the same time it doesn't, because you're holding down the right arrow key, trying to see how far you can go in time, because you have 5 minutes. So going back to time, like I just said, you have 5 minutes. It's your character's life basically, and your whole goal is to see how far you can go to the right in that 5 minutes or in that life of your character. Um, so I would say the game does play itself because you don't have to do much, but if you didn't do anything, you wouldn't get very far. So yes and no, the game plays itself. It's a little bit complicated there. Um, And I think the fact that you have a time limit kind of sets a goal, which I really like, because a lot of games you see nowadays, and even like my game that I'm creating, Ultimate Survival, you don't have a time limit. But I think when you do have a time limit, it's kind of like, okay, let's see how well I can do in this time period or how much I can get done right now, and what can I do to change things up to make it a little faster, or help me get through this game quicker, or not quicker, but see how far I can get faster. And then the other game that I decided to look at was the plan, which is basically you're flying around in a given space. It's 2D. You're a fly, and you're using the arrow keys to fly around. And I would say that this game definitely does not play itself, even in the slightest bit, because you're not going to really go anywhere if you don't do anything. You're just going to kind of hover there or sit there. Um, and the thing that I really liked about this game was that this one was my favorite. I really liked that there were kind of obstacles and things for you to interact with, like leaves, spider webs, things you could avoid, and that would kind of give you feedback, not like, hey, you did this wrong, or like, do this next time, but feedback in the sense of like, it's kind of obvious feedback, like, oh, I shouldn't do that next time because it'll make it easier if I don't, or like, things like that, which I really liked. I found it to be really kind of fun, and I mean, as simple and kind of dumb as it is, it's really addicting because it's like, oh, how do I want to fly around here, and what do I want to try and accomplish and get done? Um, let's see what else I had. Um, the player needs to keep moving up um, at all times if you want to progress in the game, which I think gives a good sense of space, is the fact that you have a lot of space to keep moving. And then as far as time goes, there really isn't a time, a set time in this game. I didn't really feel rushed, like I needed to like do anything really quickly, or oh, I need to get as far as I can in this certain time. It was more like, let's explore. And I mean, you're always going up, but like exploring, seeing, you know, how different ways to do things, or like different ways to go about flying in different directions and things like that, finding different things like the spider webs or the leaves. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that really kind of adds to the game and gives the player another thing to think about, which I really like. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just basically flying with arrow keys, and there's things you can bump into. Looking at a game to remix, I'm going to choose Larkin's game, because I really think that he has a really solid set of ideas for his game, and really has it planned out like he wants. And I really like the whole, you going into different worlds and fighting people to survive, and you getting like certain things because of, I really like the whole idea of like going into certain worlds and fighting people, and then you getting certain rewards for doing so. I think it's really cool. Um, but one thing that I would change if it was my game, or for my remix of it, I think it could be like, you don't get to choose which world you go into. You get thrown into it, um, and you're kind of like lost, almost in like a maze, and you have like these things to fight or fend off in the maze, and that's somewhat what it's like. But I think that instead of you having the options, it would be cool if like you just got thrown in anywhere. And I also think it'd be cool. It sounds like a really fun game that you could play on like a sit down console in like a detailed version, but you could also play a really fun version of it that's a little less detailed on like a mobile phone or an iPad or some sort of mobile device. And I think that would really be pretty fun. Uh, so yeah, Thanks for watching.